Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, cha, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. This is Reading with Your Kids. We are coming to you from Reedville, the loveliest little neighborhood in all of Boston. Our mission is to help all families grow closer through reading. And we do that by introducing you to the coolest authors, the funnest tales, and a whole lot of reading inspiration for the whole family. We hope you'll help us spread the word by telling all of your family and friends about the show, telling your kids, teachers, librarians, principals, and random strangers you meet on the street, and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcast Addict. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have a super fun show for you today that you are not going to believe. First up, Paul Massey and Llama Jack are here to celebrate Lucha Libros. This is an incredible organization that brings professional wrestling to a public library. It's amazing. I loved meeting these guys. And later in the show, Brandon Clark will be here to celebrate his road trip activity book, 100 fantastic activities you and your family can do on the road. Hey, my friends, you know one of my favorite parts of the day is story time. There's just something magical about snuggling up with your kids, opening a great book, and escaping into an adventure together. And let me tell you, that moment becomes even more magical when you're curled up in the softest, coziest bedding you've ever felt. That's why I'm so excited that CozyEarth.com is supporting Reading with Your Kids. Their bamboo sheets, comforters, and pajamas are unbelievably soft, naturally breathable, and temperature regulating, which means no more sweaty nights or chilly toes. Right now, Cozy Earth is offering Reading with Your Kids listeners an unbelievable and exclusive 41% off their entire site. That's right, you heard me right, 41% off. So go ahead, create your own cozy reading nook, wrap yourself and your kids up in something comfy, grab your favorite bedtime book, and turn story time into the best part of your day. Head on over to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code READ at checkout to save 41%. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code READ. This is going to be a fantastic interview. I am so excited. First, joining us from Northern California, the promoter of Lucha Libros. Please welcome to the show, Paul Massey. Paul, how are you?
Good morning or good afternoon where you are. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having us on today.
Very excited. And also joining us from Truth or Consequences, Peru, one of the stars of Lucha Libros, Llama Jack. Llama Jack, how are you? ¿Cómo estás?
Bang, bang. Muy bien aquí. Very good. I'm having a great week, having a great day, coming off of our Vacaville show this past Saturday.
And for those of you who haven't figured it out yet, Lucha Libros is it's a wrestling promotion, but they're different in that they stage most of their shows in public libraries. Am I right about that, Paul?
Yes, that's correct. It started out as kind of an idea a couple of years ago. I have to say, our founder, who is not here today, is a man by the name of Jerry Rocha, and he also Bay Area native, and he had an idea to do basically what you might call a lucha libre story time, where it was kind of a little community event. We would go to a library, have a couple of wrestlers there, read a lucha themed book to the kids. Have some of the wrestlers kind of act out what was happening in the book, and it was basically like a story time. But then that kind of evolved into a larger idea to stage, as you're saying, a full blown show in the library itself. So and after a lot of kind of trial and error and things like that, we finally did our first kind of, library wrestling show this January of this year. And we just had our last show of the year in Vacaville, California, as Llama Jack was mentioning, and we he could talk about it a little bit, but we ended on a very high note by having Michael, the librarian Threets, the new host of Reading Rainbow. He was actually our special guest, and was wouldn't you know it, I was incapacitated in my duties as a referee, and he actually got in the ring and helped count the 3 count for Llama Jack and his tag team partner at the end. And it was such a wonderful day, and the crowd had so much fun. So we just finished a very successful first year. But library wrestling, who would have thought it?
Who would have thunk it? I started mentioning to Paul and Llama Jack before we hit record that I'm a longtime wrestling fan. Went to the matches with my grandmother, the old Boston Garden, back in the day, and would be there cheering Bruno Sammartino on. And it was just so much fun. And I recently had the opportunity to go to TD Garden with my daughter and my son-in-law and my brother-in-law, and we saw John Cena's last appearance in Boston, and it was quite exciting. And at one point, Llama Jack, you could probably relate to this or appreciate this. We were sitting, my son-in-law works for a corporation that has a suite, and we were sitting in the suite, and there were a bunch of 10-year-olds in the suite with us, and they were absolutely losing their mind. And I turned to my daughter and I said, that was me when I was 10 and 12 years old.
Oh, that's incredible. I definitely relate to that. I remember going to shows at the Cow Palace in South San Francisco in the early 90s and seeing Yokozuna and the Nasty Boys and the Macho Man, the Undertaker, like all these iconic wrestlers from the 90s. And that really, that did a lot for me as a young kid, not realizing that wrestling's fake and just being captivated by these larger than life wrestlers that just didn't even seem like real humans. They really seemed like not of this world, like they were superheroes to me.
Yeah. And I don't know, Paul, am I going to have to edit out that Llama Jack used the F word there?
Like I call it the F word. I personally won't say that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I meant not realizing that what I was seeing was not. I was not aware of kayfabe in pro wrestling.
Right. It's predetermined.
Predetermined, right?
Exactly. I think that's better. Because sometimes with the F word,
the word fake was inappropriate, or the F word, right?
Yeah, so maybe edit the F word. I think, but sorry, I love you, Llama. Don't worry about it. But
we won't dime you out, Llama. We won't.
Please, thank you.
I think I was thinking of this because I've made a living doing educational magic shows in schools and in libraries around the country for over 40 years. So when you guys were watching Macho Man and Yokozuna, I was out and I started life as primarily a clown, doing lots of slapstick, falling out of chairs, falling off of stages, doing in fact, I had a skit where I'd bring a kid up on stage and we would stage a wrestling match, and he would throw me all around. So I know that those bumps that you take, while it might be predetermined and choreographed, those bumps that you're taking out there, Llama Jack, they're bumps, and you feel them.
Bumps, and sometimes they don't feel great, and they do take some stuff out of you. And there are mornings where I wake up and I'm a very sore llama, and sometimes I literally have to roll myself out of bed because it really depends on how many bumps, how many times I was slammed. Was I hit with chairs? Did I go through any tables? Did I have anything crazy? Were books thrown at me? And, it all adds up. And, there is this thing called a bump card. And, knock on wood for me, I do think that I have a number of bumps left on my bump card where, I could do this for a few more years without really having to, second guess anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Paul, I know that there's a parent out there listening to this show, hearing bumps and chairs and going through tables. And what does this have to do with libraries?
And that would be a fair question, and I certainly wouldn't judge them for such a question. No, it's that's fair point. Actually, it's funny you mentioned parents. So I'm actually the very proud father of 3 beautiful kids. There's all sorts of I guess flavors of wrestling or professional wrestling. You could say there's the more traditional kind you see in the WWE. There's maybe the more a little bit more adult-oriented styles you might see on the independent circuit, or things are a little bit more risque. We're Lucha Libro. We're the family-friendly variety, right? This is very much a program that is it serves a few purposes, but it really is meant for families and their kids. We certainly get some wrestling fans as well, but a lot of our crowd really is made up of people who may have never been to a wrestling show before, and they just see it on their local library's programming guide as something to maybe do on a Saturday night. And just a couple of things I'd say about it is that I'm very proud to say that the program is always free to the patrons. So that it's a community event provided by the library, so we'll never charge anybody a dime to watch our shows. So in a world where you can't, if you have a few kids, even going to the movies might be a luxury for some people. Getting a couple hours of free live entertainment. We can also meet the wrestlers, take pictures, photos. That sort of thing is to me kind of a rare commodity nowadays to be able to have that. And it is the content is nothing that's going to have anybody running for the exits. Hopefully we do keep our audience in mind. I mean, I know some promotions can be a bit tone deaf when it comes to that. We know who we're wrestling for, and we know who we're serving. And really, in some people might think, well, the library connection, right? Well, why not have a family friendly show at a community center or somewhere else? Why a library specifically? And really, what I tell people is, this, the body slams, the drop kicks, all those things, that all that's a blast. But really what this is, it's really all of that, to be a community outreach event. That's at the heart of what Lucha Libro is our goal is to try to get people to the local library, whether they're a lapsed patron, someone who hasn't been for a while. We've had many people who've maybe never been to a library before. We've had people say they got a library card for the first time in their life, and they're, grown adults, because they didn't realize that all the services, whether it's job hunting skills or with anything with email, faxing, ESL courses, all these things that libraries offer the community at little or no cost. So we're really trying to be kind of a tag team partner, for lack of a better word, for the library, and be an advocate for that. We'll also do things like raffles for a modest prize that are free to enter, but you have to have a library card to enter. And if you don't have one, well, there's the kiosk to sign up for a card. Better do that before you leave. And also, I know Llama can talk about this because he's really the mastermind behind it. But all of our shows also start with a reading by Llama Jack and his partner Richard Schnery, who's our librarian, and it's always about a topic about self-esteem or getting along with others, and we always kick up our shows with that just to kind of tie into the library community. So kind of a long answer, but it's edit it as you might need, but yeah, there really is there's a lot more connection than you might think, and it also kind of snowballs a bit. Like once people might be a bit standoffish at first, but once we say, well, we've done this program at, library XYZ, it kind of builds momentum, because then the argument of, oh, well, you couldn't possibly do this here. Well, then once we've, shown that we've done these things and they've been successful and drawn sometimes up to like 400 people, even if you can believe that, then people are a little more open-minded to it, despite maybe any initial reservations. So I hope that answers.
That's a perfect answer, and certainly I'm not going to edit anything out of that. I think that's all incredibly valuable.
Thank you.
Libraries do serve are such a great public service for our communities, and they're oftentimes the first service to get cut when budgets need to be trimmed, and we really need to do all we can to continue to support libraries, because it is, for a lot of people, I've told this on the podcast before, the most difficult place I ever played was a branch of the Boston Public Library. What they did is they went into a housing projects and they took a 2-bedroom apartment in the projects and turned that into a branch of the library. So as you might imagine, it was incredibly tight, and very small to begin with, and then you put the bookcases and everything, and then you asked me to come in and do a magic show. It was always a challenge, but I loved it, because for the kids who were there every day, it was their safe place. It was their oasis. And so I'll never forget all the joy that I had performing there. Llama Jack, in addition to reading stories before the shows, as a performer, as somebody in the ring, you're actually telling stories while you're being thrown around and throwing around your opponent.
Absolutely, and that's one of the joys that I get performing at a library, is making sure that the story we are telling is palatable for the audience. Because like Paul was saying, a lot of our audience, maybe they've never seen pro wrestling, not even live. Maybe they've never seen pro wrestling ever, but they get to see it at a library. So I always make it a point to make sure everything we're doing makes sense, it has purpose to it, and it's easy, it's palatable for the audience. It's easy for them to understand what's going on with the stories that we're telling in the ring and the characters that we are portraying in the ring. And, it really helps that my tag partner and my best buddy, Richard Shineri, is a librarian.
I think that's incredible. Now, you were telling me before we hit record that in the tradition of Lucha Libre, which is the Spanish word for pro wrestling and the Mexican style of wrestling, you are a masked wrestler. Tell us why you chose to be a masked wrestler.
I chose to be a masked wrestler. This has deep meaning for me. I am Peruvian. My mom and dad are from Lima, Peru. And I've always had such a strong affinity and connection towards llamas, which are indigenous in Peru. And so I wanted to make sure that whenever I show up as Llama Jack, people will see me as a llama and they will connect that with Peru. So that is kind of like me being Llama Jack, hopefully has, without really trying or beating someone over the head, show that I am Peruvian and that llamas are Peruvian and they're cool.
Yeah. Well, I have to take a moment to let you know that this current hairdo that I'm styling, it's not combed, was just worked on yesterday by Pilar, my stylist at Supercuts, who's originally from Peru. So shout out to Pilar.
That's amazing. Shout out to Pilar. Shout out to Peru.
Absolutely. Yes, Peru is one of those places that we actually had plans on visiting, my family and I, on visiting right before the pandemic hit and spoiled that. So if there's a way that you can body slam the pandemic at some point, Llama Jack, for me, I'd appreciate it.
I had family that was visiting Peru and they left a day before they locked everything down.
Ooh.
So they got lucky because they would have been stuck there for a few months.
Yeah. Wow. Tell me, Paul, how did you get involved with Lucha Libros, with professional wrestling, the whole scene?
The whole thing. Wow. Thank you for asking. It's really interesting. Just kind of going off of what Llama Jack said. I think when you speak to most people in the wrestling business, whether they're on television, not on television, a lot of times if you ask them that question, how'd you get into it? More often than not, or what's the inspiration behind what you do, you'll find that it has some kind of deep meaning for that person as far as their family. I think a lot of us have that in common, where it's we do it as either as a tribute to somebody, as Llama Jack was saying, or that someone very close to us got us involved in. And I know you being an old school fan, from Boston, I know that's kind of like how fandom used to work. Like the grandparents showed it to the kids, and then those kids showed it to their kids, and it's like, you sit in the same seats at the Garden or the Cow Palace out here, wherever it might be, generationally, right? But so my father was a huge wrestling fan as a young man. Cow Palace days, Roy Shire promotions. So he loved Wilbur Schneider. He loved Pepper Gomez. He loved the villains were like Pat Patterson, Ray Stevens, all those guys. And when I was a kid, he got me into watching wrestling with him. He put on I remember it was Superstars, Saturday morning syndicated show. And he said, "Hey Paul, I think you're gonna like this. Just watch this for a second." He put it on, and I've just never been so hooked on anything so fast in my life, in the best possible way. It was just you'll love at first sight, as you might say. And I remember it was right after WrestleMania 4, and very soon after that, my dad and my grandpa they both took me to the Cow Palace for the first time for a wrestling show, and I just was in love with it ever since. Eventually, I'm not the most athletic guy in the world, so I kind of found the referee path for myself was kind of made sense as a way I could be involved, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. Sometimes I will go by Lou, my referee name, which is my grandpa's first name. It's kind of a tribute to him. And my dad and I went to countless shows together. I tell people their eyes get kind of big when I say this, but we went to like 15 WrestleManias together.
Wow.
It was always like a boys' trip every year. The first time he took me, I was 11, and I think the last time we went, I was almost 40. So it was like a lifelong, thing we did together. And then luckily, as I said, our founder Jerry Rocha, he just kind of, honestly, I think Llama can vouch for this too. He just kind of put together a lot of people for Lucha Libre who were on the kind of the Northern California independent scene, who've been grinding for a lot of years, but maybe just for whatever reason hadn't paid a lot of attention to per se. Working shows certainly, but as far as any kind of official capacity or running a promotion, not so much. And I think he saw a little something in all of us as far as things we could bring to the table. And he's kind of almost like an Avengers Assemble kind of thing. Llama, I don't know if you felt the same way, but we all kind of gravitated toward each other, and we're very passionate about this program, and we had just a tremendous first year, and we're hoping to make it even better next year. We'll actually be I can unofficially say we're going to be in Las Vegas for WrestleMania weekend. Even we'll be doing actually one library in Las Vegas on WrestleMania Saturday, and we'll be doing a different library in another part of the city on WrestleMania Sunday. So we're extremely excited about that. So it's just I'm very grateful for my father for showing this to me all those years ago, because without him I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So
that's fantastic. Llama Jack, what about you? How did you end up in this scene, taking those bumps?
Are we talking Lucha Libros, or are we talking pro wrestling?
Both.
So pro wrestling, I was going to local independent shows in San Francisco, and Hood Slam had put on a show. I want to say it was June 2019, and it was called Fearless. And watching this show, it just really inspired me, and I just thought to myself, I want to be one of these wrestlers on a show like Fearless. I want to be part of a movement that creates change within pro wrestling for the better. I want to, when I'm done wrestling, I want to feel like I left pro wrestling in a better position than when I started pro wrestling. And I came up with my character of Llama Jack, I want to say 2022. And I had become really just disenfranchised with Llama Jack and how Llama Jack was being booked and how Llama Jack was being used at pro wrestling shows. And I just kind of thought, like, I don't want to just go up at a show, put on a mask, and they go, I don't have to go out there and make a brand new student look good. And Jerry had, without me knowing it, had kind of like been paying attention to the character of Llama Jack and asked me, would you be interested in coming to a library show and reading a book to the audience as Llama Jack? And I said, sure. I love working with kids. I love the idea of reading books to children at a library and really promoting literacy and supporting your local library and getting a library card and all the resources that come with having a library card. And some of my best memories growing up were going to the Antioch Library, whether it was with my school or with my family. And I think the first show that I read a book to kids was Pittsburgh, and I had a really great time doing that. And then it turned into, okay, we're going to have you start the book, and then we're going to have a heel, which is a bad guy in pro wrestling. We're going to have a heel come out and interrupt your story time, and then you have a match, an impromptu match, and then afterwards you finish the story. And we've kind of switched it around a little bit of that formula of reading the story, getting interrupted, and finishing the story. But that's always, these shows are like a real highlight for me in pro wrestling because it's not just about pro wrestling, it's really about everything that pro wrestling encompasses. You know, we're talking about that magic of pro wrestling that kids are captivated by and become adults, and they're still captivated by it. Mm-hmm. And it's just really nice to be a part of Lucha Libros, which I feel is a promotion that is creating change within pro wrestling.
Wonderful. We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Lucha Libros, maybe find out how they can bring Lucha Libros to their public library.
Well, absolutely, yes. So you can find us both on Facebook and Instagram. If you just search Lucha Libre, we'll come up, and you can message us. We are always monitoring our message center. So if there's anybody who's interested in the program, would like to know more about it, usually they can certainly message us on one of those platforms. And then if they, and then we have a whole information sheet that goes into great detail about what the program is, how it works, and whatnot. So if they provide us with something like an email address, because it is a bit, it is a lot to relay over a chat. We'll send them our promotional informational packet, and then if it seems like a good fit, we can go from there. We're also, if you're interested in seeing some of our past shows, we do have a YouTube channel as well. So if you search Lucha Libre on YouTube, you can find our channel, and we have a backlog of some of our shows from earlier this year. They're not all up yet, but there's quite a few. Definitely enough to get a flavor of what we're doing.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Guys, I'm so thankful that you've been here. We've had a great time speaking to two members of Lucha Libros. Our guests have been Paul Massey and Llama Jack. Buddies, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful experience. This an incredible conversation, and thank you for reaching out to us and for your interest. This is the kind of thing that keeps us going. The positive reactions from people, and it gives us the energy to see how far we can push this thing. So, thank you so much for being so supportive.
I'd like to say thank you as well, and thank you, Pilar, for doing such a great haircut. And I want to say earlier, I did misspeak. As a child, when I was at the Cow Palace watching these larger-than-life wrestlers, it's a situation where, as a kid, you don't understand the magic and the aura behind pro wrestling, and you have other kids and adults saying that pro wrestling, using the F word with pro wrestling. And as a kid, I know you're saying this, but it's not the F word, because I'm seeing what these larger-than-life superheroes are doing, and there's no way that could be the F word, and that injuries in pro wrestling happen all of the time, and if it was the F word, who would be getting injured?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So,
guys,
yeah, follow me on Instagram at LlamaJack83.
we will. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, my friends, I have a super idea you are going to love. How about this weekend, turn your backyard cookout into a storybook celebration? Fire up the grill, crack open a few of your favorite picture books, and serve up Big Fork Brand's legendary bacon sausage. Made with nitrate-free bacon and premium pork, it's juicy, smoky, and unforgettable. Top it off with Big Fork's spicy Chicago fire sauce, and you've got a meal as bold as the characters in your favorite bedtime tale. Get 20% off your order using the promo code READ at bigforkbrands.com. That's bigforkbrands.com. Promo code READ to get 20% off, because nothing brings families together like great food, great books, and a whole lot of flavor. Big Fork Brands. Read, grill, repeat. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Ohio. Our guest is here today to celebrate his brand new road trip activity book, 100 pages of family favorite road trip activities. Please welcome to the show, Brandon Clark. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, Brandon and I were just chatting. He lives near a convention center that I attended, and I was telling him that I got lucky. I got off the highway and exit early for some reason, and if I hadn't, I would have been stuck on the highway in traffic for like hours. So I know how difficult driving can be with kids, and how you need some kind of activity to get them from causing you to crash into a wall.
That's exactly right. Yes. When I think about road trips, this all started from me and my kids. My wife were driving up to my mother-in-law's house. She lives a couple hours away, and we drive up there every Thanksgiving. We drive on the busiest travel day of the year, the day right before Thanksgiving, and it's 2 hours. So I'm like, how can you handle this trip? Can it be fun? Can it be engaging? And we started doing this license plate search, right? We're trying to find license plates from all the states, as many as we can find. So, there's a Maryland, check it off the list. There's a Kentucky, check it off the list. And then we started competing every year, and we're seeing how many we can get. And then we ended up getting like 26 on this 2-hour drive. So I thought about, like, you know what? These are all these kind of games that you play in the car when you were a kid with your family. Mm-hmm. And I think often now we turn to devices, right? And our kids and each of us kind of go into our own little world, and we take this 2-hour trip and nobody really talks. Mm-hmm. We get there and suddenly we're here and we move on. But I'm like, this is an opportunity to connect with your kids, to learn about what they're interested in, to talk about the different states, even if you're on state license plates, what's in that state? How can we learn about each other and learn more? So I always look at these opportunities like this is community right here. You're stuck in this box together for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is. This is a great opportunity to learn more about each other and connect, which I think this show is all about that, and I love that.
I thank you for that. That is what we're all about. And I love that you refer to your family as a community, because that's really what it should be. And our community should feel like family as well. But I think you're right. These devices that we have, as amazing as they are, and as, they allow us to do tremendous things, but they also isolate us. We can all be, 5 people sitting at the dinner table. If they're all looking at the devices, their minds are in 5 different places. They're not together.
That's absolutely true. And I am in no way like an anti-device person. There is definitely a time and place for it. But when it's with your folks, with your people, hey, this is a great time to talk about your day. What was the best part of your day? What was the maybe the not so best part of your day? What kind of made you sad? It's a great way to learn about each other, is to put the devices down and talk. In the car rides, I'm big on like this. As I said, like you're in this together. Let's make this an enjoyable experience. We have so many games in there where, like we have this one called Animal Roundup, and we turn it into a little competition, right? So there's some family you like to have a little competition too. So it's the passenger side versus the driver side. And you're counting how many horses are on this side and cows, and you get 10 points per horse. You're checking them off, kind of tallying them up. And then, you don't want to drive by a cemetery, because if it's on your side, it's minus 10 points. So it's all about that fun together. A little bit competitive goes a long way, just to make it even more interesting.
I remember my kids when they were young, very young, and if they drove by a cemetery, they had to hold their breath because I guess someone was going to come snatch their breath or something. I don't know.
That's right.
And it was really tough. We drove through New York City, and there's this cemetery alongside the interstate in New York City that's miles long. And
that's dangerous breath holding right there.
It really was.
Yeah, that's great. I think our breath holding one is under the bridges, right? And that's what's unique about cars. Everybody has their own family traditions, and if you can just kind of engage in that, and you can develop like all these experiences together. There's like other ones that we do, which is would you rathers, right? That's very popular. And we have some would you rathers in our book that we like to run through, and it just opens that conversation, right? You want to do some would you rathers? Would you?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So let's see. Are you a water slide or are you a roller coaster kind of person?
It would be roller coaster. Yeah. Although I'm pretty old and I don't do well on them anymore, but I'm definitely terrified of water slides.
That's so funny, because roller coasters I can still do, but for some reason, like a swing, a basic playground swing gets me, because I've gotten older too, and it's like, what? My body can't handle this anymore. So roller coaster, I'm more of a water slide guy for some reason. I just love that experience with my kids, because they're a little bit younger, and then some of them, they don't really love the roller coasters yet, so we can do water slides together. All right, next one, if you're ready.
All right.
Are you like to live in the city or country? What setting do you prefer?
Well, I've always been a city guy. I've always lived in the city. However, I've mentioned this many times. I'm living in the city of Boston, but I am as far away from downtown as you can be and still be within the city. And I can jump over my fence, and I'm in a wildlife sanctuary.
Oh, perfect.
And I really love it here. So I don't know. It kind of puts me in.
You nailed it. You got the best of both worlds where you live, it sounds like. So, yeah. I'm a big fan of the city living too, like restaurants and all the cultural stuff. But yes, I love a good walk in the woods as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we got all kinds of games like that to engage in conversation and conversation starters. And there's stuff you can do on your own, right? If the family is not engaged, if you're just on a trip and mom or dad's got to focus on the drive, there's so many things you can just do on your own as well. Like we have like scrapbooking, so you can, if you're on your way to a trip, you can document where you're going, who you're going with, what are you excited to do when you get there, and you kind of recap your trip, put notes about your favorite memories from the trip, all kinds of things like that.
I love it. While I was waiting for you to come on the Zoom, I was thinking back to an absolutely horrible road trip I had when my son was a baby. We were in Western Pennsylvania. And the only way we could get him not to cry was by putting on Barney on our cassette. It was music.
Yes.
And we only had one tape, and we had to play it all the time. It was horrible. It was torture.
Yeah, that's perfect. You made it through it, and then as they get older, you can you have a little more fun on those road trips, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually similar trip coming back from Philadelphia to Columbus, Ohio, and my daughter, I think at the time was like 6 months old, and just had one of those crying episodes that just went on forever and ever. But now they're at the age where they're out there playing the games with us in the car, and I look forward to road trips, right?
Yeah.
They can be, depending on your situation, they can be pretty dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
So turning it into a fun thing is where it's at.
Absolutely. I really love it. The game that you mentioned early on, the license plate game, parents always tell me, I have to read this book 500 times. And I tell them, you can read it in a different way every time. You can take a picture walk through it once. You can read it as a cartoon character. So many ways you can do it. That license plate game, boy, you could play that, Massachusetts. What's the capital of Massachusetts? What's the capital of Ohio? And so many different ways you can play that game and engage with your kids and really, like you said, really get to know them on another level.
Yeah, we have there's a whole other section with conversation starters, and it's really just asking questions like, "What's your favorite fast food restaurant?" Right? Sometimes we're on the road. You got to hit the fast food restaurant. For me, it's Taco Bell. Everybody in the family likes it. There's other ones that not everybody's a fan of, but Taco Bell hits it for everyone. So I don't know, what is your favorite fast food restaurant if you have to?
It is not Taco Bell. I've never eaten at a Taco Bell.
Really?
I've never. I was in one of those combined ones. It was a Taco Bell and a KFC or something, and we were waiting for. I think it was KFC, and I was looking at them putting together the tacos, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that. But I'm a big fan. When I drive down south, there's a place, Buc-ee's, which is a gas station on steroids, but they have the most amazing pulled pork sandwiches, and I'll wait an hour to get to.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I like going to the off the beaten path thing, but Buc-ee's is not, because I know people in Columbus, Ohio who have Buc-ee's shirts, and I'm just like, what? You bought a shirt from the gas station? That's got to be a really good gas station. Yeah. So
it's like a palace. You go into the restrooms and there's art for sale on the walls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's an attendant in there. Every time you use, they go, and everybody has a door. It's just, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to stop in, and if we ever ride together, I'm going to take you to a Taco Bell. It's I don't know, it's actually pretty good these days.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
If you have more time, how about tell me about your favorite pair of shoes that you've ever had?
Favorite pair of well, I have to tell you, Brandon, I did educational magic shows for 40 plus years, and my character was pretty clownish. It started as a full-blown clown and grew. And for some reason, I never did the big clown shoes. I used to wear wrestling shoes. And I could get them in all different colors, and we could mix and match the colors and the socks. And so those were my favorite type of shoes. Those were my favorite.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Those are really fun. And you can use them in a lot of different costumes, I bet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really fun.
My favorite pair.
What about you?
Yeah, my favorite pair, I had these shoes called Heelys. And I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they have the wheel in the heel of the shoe. So you're on this little wheel, and I feel like I was the first person to get them. It was like 2001, and I remember riding those things on the street in my neighborhood, and cars would drive by me like, how is that guy? Is he levitating? What is he doing here? Mm-hmm. So I loved them. They were great.
Yeah.
I used to skate around my high school on them, and it was fun.
My daughter had a pair. We were on a road trip. We're down outside of Washington, D.C., and it was a performance tour, so I had to go to the laundromat and do the laundry at one point, and my daughter had her pair of Heelys, and it looked, like you said, levitating. It looked like her head was just levitating across the top of the different machines, and all the people in the laundromat were just looking like this, and the eyes were like she was a ghost just kind of floating around.
That's great. Yes, I love that. So this is exactly what the book does, right? We're learning about each other. We're learning about other experiences. I'm learning about Bucky's. This is great. This is what my book is designed to do when you're on the road trips with the families.
Yeah. Obviously some of these games are kind of family, favorites, but were there any that your family created from scratch, so to speak?
I feel like they're all passed down, right? All these games are like ones that are passed down from family to family, but we did one cool thing about it is you take these games and you kind of build up on it with what your family is interested in. We have one game in there. It's kind of like a categories type game where we've morphed it where we'll be driving somewhere and we'll say, let's do the categories animals, right? And then we go around the car and the 4 people in the car, and the first person starts with A, right? So they're probably saying alligator for animals. Next person, B for bear. And you go around the car and do it and keep going. And sometimes we'll just change the subject maybe on where we're going, right? If we're going to grandma's house, A for Ann, her name is Ann. B for bread, she has really good bread. That kind of stuff. It's just a great way to pass the time together, and it often just moves into different conversations and things like that. Yeah.
I remember a game. It was something my kids kind of played when I would drive my kids and their friends around, and they played this game where you had to add a word. Somebody started with a word, and then you had to repeat what they said, and then add a word, and then it went on. It was a pretty intense game.
Yes. That sounds challenging. I think I'd probably lose after the 4th one.
Yes.
My memory sometimes man, what am I doing? That's a good one. I can put that in my next edition. I love that idea.
There you go. So that was one of the questions. Is this going to be a series?
I haven't considered it. Right now I'm just kind of in the motion of promoting it, getting it out there. As of right now, I'm still enjoying the family sending me pictures of their kids using it in the backseat. I'm still in that phase of enjoying this book, but I'm always interested in what's next. And it's just been an enjoyable experience so far.
Yeah. I see this as, we always talk about authors going in and doing reading their book at a school, do a school visit. I think this would be a great basis for a school visit. I can imagine, get an auditorium, a room full of kids, and you do the would you rather kind of thing and all the different activities. Boy, that could be an awful lot of fun.
That's a great idea, Jed. Thanks for that. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. We'll send you a bill after the show.
You get 10%, right? Whatever. I like that. It just creates lasting memories. We were playing the animal roundup game, where you're looking for animals on certain sides. And I remember one time there was a guy, he was in his yard and he was bent over and you could see the crack of his rear end. And I just go, hey kids, how much is a butt crack worth? And man, did they I feel like I'm a grown up middle schooler. The kids laughed so hard. My wife laughed and I was like, I just won. It's hard to make all of them laugh. And I was like, this is great. So we still talk about how much is a butt crack worth.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I love your attitude because being with family, taking trips, going on vacation, it's supposed to be fun, but it can be so much pressure. And for a lot of families, boy, it turns into a nightmare because everybody's fighting and they don't, and I don't think throwing a kid on a device is a good option where let's play a game.
Yeah.
Let's just do something. I mean, we've been coming back from Costa Rica a few years back. Me and my beautiful wife, my daughter and her now husband, we're stranded overnight, sleeping on the airport floor. And we found ways to make it, we're not going to be miserable. We're going to have fun. This is going to make a great story someday.
Yes, absolutely. And you just get to know people so much better. It's a lost opportunity, right? If you go to the device, and you can definitely do that. Sometimes you're just like, hey kids, watch this 30-minute show.
Right.
I need to do something and get this taken care of. But my family loves it. Every time, we're on a trip, it's more than 30 minutes. We're getting the book out and we're playing one of the games. And there's bingo cards in there where one book you can have card A versus card B, and you're looking for whatever you can, like that. There's a railroad tracks. Got to check that off. You see a scooter, you check that off. So lots of different varieties of games. So if you play one and over, like the license plate game, there's we have several pages of that where you can redo it, right? You replay, because that seems to be like the kids' favorites is what I hear. But just lots of different options for a great car ride.
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple of times it's a great way to get to know your kids, have those conversations, get to know your kids. I think it's just as valuable a way for your kids to get to know you.
Great point.
To be able to give you an opportunity to kind of remember, when I was a kid, and when I was a kid, we didn't have cars. We had dinosaurs and they pulled us along the
It's a very, very good point. Yeah. Those conversation starters, it's like, what's your favorite movie? And that's like the hardest question for me to answer, because I hardly ever watch a movie twice. I'm like, this is whatever I watched most recently. That is my favorite movie, because that's in my brain currently. Yeah. And, my kids are like, well, we watched this other movie 10 times and we love this movie. I was like, I also did that as a kid. I was like, it kind of changes as you get older. You're looking for something new and interesting a lot in those movies. And so it's just learning about different phases of life. You're exactly right. They're learning about me, learning about my wife.
Tell me, now that you are the author of a family activity book, aimed at kids, are you thinking about writing other children's books?
I published a book a few years ago, and it is called Stop Driving, Start Riding. And it's about riding public transit. And so that is my first book. I would love to write another kids book someday, maybe get into the picture book arena, but that's always on my table or on my mind as well. It's kind of like, what's next? But right now, I'm just enjoying this.
It sounds like travel is a big part of your life.
It is.
Have you done the cross country trip yet?
The farthest we've driven is to Florida, which is like 13 hours for us. And we actually got a Hawaii license plate on the way there, so we were ecstatic about that.
Okay.
And then this past summer we took a trip to Maine, and that was awesome. Just beautiful, and playing all the games on the way, and we got to see a moose, which that's not on my bingo card, but we did get to see a moose. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I had a guy ask me one time, Brandon, I won't say what city this person who was in city government was in, but we're talking, he asked me, he said, how did you get here from Boston? And I said, well, we drove. And he said, wow, it's a really long way. And it really wasn't. But anyways, I just said, well, here to, entertain you kids and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, where else have you been? I said, well, I just got back from Puerto Rico. We did a 2-week tour down in Puerto Rico. And he said, wow, how long did it take you to drive down there? And I said, the toll on the bridge is too much. We flew.
That's great.
So,
yes.
We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Road Trip Activity Book, 100 pages of family favorite road trip activities.
Yes, thank you. You can find it on Amazon, Road Trip Activity Book by Brandon Clark. You can order it on Amazon. If you're in the Central Ohio area, you can get it at Kitty's in Worthington and Gramercy Books in Bexley. And if you want to follow me on the socials, I am Brandon CC10.
Excellent. Let's get the book into Buc-ee's.
It's a great idea.
There you go. I've had a great time speaking to the creator of Road Trip Activity Book. Our guest has been Brandon Clark. Brandon, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jed.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. In the meantime, please connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids, on Instagram, @JedleyMagic, on X, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ Reading with Your Kids, and our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Hey, if this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please be sure to share the link to the show with someone you love. Please be sure to share the link to the show to your local librarian. And also, leave us a 5-star review. Wherever you find the show, leave a 5-star review. That really helps. And, of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Starting with our guests, the guys from Lucha Libros. Or I should say the bros from Lucha Libros. Llama Jack and Paul Massey. Also want to thank Brandon Clark. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so very much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for making the world a better, kinder, more empathetic place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.